Coming to you live from the fabulous MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a St. Clair College journalism presentation.
Hi, I'm Haley Trela, and you're watching MediaPlex News Now. Is the smoke detector in your home fully functional? In our top story, Rob Bennion explains how the Windsor Fire and Rescue Service's new program can benefit you.
What's happening in this city is unacceptable.
So says Windsor's Fire Chief Bruce Montone. Since 2007, structural fires in Windsor with significant loss have gone up 57%.
Fires are happening where there is structural loss in this community on average of one every other day.
Additionally, 43% of the homes in Windsor lack a working smoke alarm, something that Chief Fire Prevention Officer Lee Tome called a huge concern.
When we look at the causes of this increase, the three major causes that we're seeing is first, unattended cooking. Second is arson and vandalism. And third is smoking and the behaviors associated with smoking.
Windsor Fire and Rescue Services has launched a new program called Wake Up, Get a Working Smoke Alarm. They plan to blitz the city, hitting every single home and offering a free fire safety inspection.
I'm saying that the city of Windsor can turn this around.
I'm Rob Bennion, reporting for MediaPlex News Now.
Windsor's emergency management program may be getting a makeover. Chief Montone has recommended to City Council that there be an addition of an emergency management coordinator.
That position would be primarily responsible for not just managing and coordinating, but enhancing the city's ability to manage and respond to any type of emergency that affects the community beyond our day-to-day capacity.
Windsor previously had an emergency management coordinator, but the position was moved in 2007. Montone estimates the position would cost approximately $130,000 to staff and create. If you're looking for a great way to help the community, the Canadian Cancer's Relay for Life might just be the thing you're looking for. Melissa Russo tells us more.
One of Canada's largest cancer fundraising seasons has officially kicked off. The Canadian Cancer Society's Relay for Life season got off to a running start at Walkerville Brewery. There will be a Windsor-LaSalle relay at the Volmer Complex in LaSalle June 21st. The 12-hour overnight walk allows the community to celebrate cancer survivors, remember loved ones, and help raise funds for cancer research. Fundraising coordinator Wendy German said they hope to exceed their goal of $200,000.
I would just say that the event itself is it's so much more than a fundraising event. It's really an experience.
Sheena Laidlaw is a leukemia survivor, and she is eager to walk in her third relay and encourages everyone to participate.
I encourage anyone who's thinking about starting a team to do so because, you know, every little bit helps bring us closer to finding cures.
Stephanie Davidson is the captain of Marlene's Midnight Marchers in support of her mom who is fighting lung cancer.
I think it's just understanding the statistics, like understanding how prevalent it is, like knowing how many people will be touched with cancer and how many people will rely on organizations such as the Canadian Cancer Society as well as other community organizations. It's important that we help promote these people so that they have the resources available to those in need.
Windsor-LaSalle Relay currently has 20 teams registered, but there's room for 80. So, if you're interested, visit www.relay.cancer.ca for more information. I'm Melissa Russo, reporting for MediaPlex News Now.
And now let's check in with our MediaPlex weather specialist, Ashley Davidson, on the corner of University and Victoria. Ashley?
Thanks, Haley. Right now it's -2 out here, but for the first time on the show this year, we have sunlight after 6 p.m. Now the sun is just a reminder that the clocks move ahead an hour this weekend. Tonight, we can expect a high of -1 and a low of -3. I'll be back a little later on in the show to tell you what we can expect for the rest of the week.
To raise funds for the homeless, the Downtown Mission held their annual fundraiser. Jessica Brisebois tells us more.
It may not have been freezing out, but participants still experience what's called the coldest night of the year. Over 250 Windsorites participated in the second annual fundraiser held by the Downtown Mission. The participants had the option to walk a 5-kilometer or 10-kilometer route in effort to raise awareness and funds for the homeless. The Director of Development and Community Relations of the Downtown Mission, Ron Dunn, said Windsor exceeded the target goal, raising over 35,000 donations.
Well, all the money goes into our programs and services here at the Mission. So as you know, we get no government funding, so these funds do help us out quite a bit. We're feeding about 200 people a day, 130,000 meals a year. We're anticipating a growth for 2013.
Dunn said the walk allows people to experience what it would be like to live the life of a homeless person. He said homeless people often don't have a choice to go indoors when the weather is cold. Crossing the finish line was even more special for participants Christian Bruno and Victoria Barrett.
I myself raised $200 in support of it, and I was greeted at the finish line with the ring.
The coldest night of the year raised $1 million across the country. I'm Jessica Briesba reporting for MediaPlex News Now.
According to the Ministry of Health, the rate of colon cancer cases in the Erie and St. Clair region, which includes Windsor, are higher than the provincial average. Colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the province. 3,300 people die from the disease each year, but less than 1/3 of eligible residents are screened regularly for the disease. One factor that may be keeping residents from getting checked is the fact that the test costs $30 and is not covered by OHIP. So you say you want a revolution. Well, you know we all want to change the world. So how exactly are the Beatles good for our health? Alice Hewitt explains.
George Harrison's birthday was February 25th. If you don't know who George Harrison is, then your taste in music really needs to change. Harrison was, after all, one of the greatest musicians the world has ever seen. But whatever style or genre of music you do listen to, there's no denying that music can alter the way we think and feel. Music therapy can have that same effect on patient care. Music therapy isn't some new age fad. After seeing an improvement in patients suffering from mental, emotional, and physical scars after both world wars, doctors began to ask for more musicians to play for patients. According to the Canadian Association of Music Therapy, it is defined as the skillful use of music and musical elements by an accredited music therapist and promotes, maintains, and restores mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health. Music therapy is for everyone and can be used regardless of your situation. You don't even need to have a musical background. Music therapy can help in the treatment of substance abuse, emotional traumas, and teens at risk, as well as speech and language impairments. As the Beatles said, all you need is love, and maybe a little music too. I'm Alice Hewitt, and this has been Your Health Minute.
The Windsor Symphony Orchestra has a new music director. James Zimmerman tells us more.
The WSO has announced that Robert Franz has been named the new music director. The announcement came during a press conference February 26th at the Capitol. Dr. Kathleen McCrone said the process for choosing the new director was extensive.
They give a pre-concert talk, they gave remarks from the stage, they of course conducted rehearsals and concerts, and we put them through a 2.5-hour interview.
Franz said the selection process was nothing out of the ordinary.
And it's not really that different from what a regular concert week looks like. You know, most folks who come to a concert say, oh, okay, I'm going Saturday night to see the concert, but what's happened beforehand are rehearsals, plus visits to schools by me, meetings with the press, meetings with sponsors, meetings with partners. I tend to keep a very busy schedule.
Franz is currently working on fine-tuning the 2013-2014 concert season. For MediaPlex News Now, I'm James Zimmerman.
Comics have become media mainstream, and companies such as Marvel have many well-known characters. Favorites such as Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Hulk. Most of Marvel's fictional characters operate in the Marvel Universe, with locations that mirror real-life cities such as New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Here are some of Windsor's fastest-growing shows on Kojiko, the Comic Book Syndicate. Let's check it out.
Batman by Scott Snyder is a
all
new,
terrible.
But
They're all terrible.
No. Scott Snyder's
I
Batman.
disagree.
These are new stories.
Listen, Animal Man sucks.
No, wait a minute.
The numbers say otherwise.
But here's the thing: is
that's
the thing is that
that's what I'm telling
the
you.
audience.
They're all at number one again.
But the thing
that's
is,
why.
But it doesn't matter. No, I've held more people as new readers. I've had more subs come in
because of the New 52.
But wait, guys, time out. Number one
seriously.
book. Number one sold book.
I'm
But for
tying
one
that
issue,
completely
for one
to money.
issue.
No, number 2 issue, he went up 10%.
Yeah, you're talking one issue. And the
Aquaman
books
is-
are still not. I haven't lost one reader yet. It even baffles the guys over at DC. I talked to them, and they're like, would you, in a million years, would you tell me that Aquaman was outselling Uncanny X-Men, which it did? I mean, would you ever believe that?
Michael Poirier is one of the hosts of the Syndicate. He sat down with our own Maureen Marion-Pillay in this edition of 5 Minutes With.
I'm Maureen Marion-Pillay, and today we're spending 5 minutes with co-founder of the TV show, The Comic Book Syndicate, Michael Poirier. Tell us a little bit about your show.
The Comic Book Syndicate is a comic book review show, basically. We do debates, discussions, skits, and news all about comic books and comic book related things, like movies and stuff like that. And basically, the format of the show is sort of inspired by Bill Maher's Politically Incorrect TV show from the 90s. And it's sort of a combination of that with the philosophy that comic books should be for everyone. And so we really try to serve as ambassadors for this sort of niche art form that we want everyone to be a part of. And so we tie in the movies and the toys and stuff like that, the stuff people are familiar with, and we try to use that to introduce them to the actual comic books themselves.
And who are the other people involved in this TV show?
The host of the show is Danny Palanka. He's the mediator of the discussions. And then myself and George Rizok are the co-hosts. And then our producer is Jolie Inthavong. And then we obviously have a crew that helps out on camera and sound, and we do the show over at the Fog Lounge with Tom Lusher and Frank Inchiti.
Awesome.
Inchiti, I have to pronounce that right.
So you attended a comic conference in Windsor not too long ago. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that was the Merry Comic Book Christmas Con. It was December 2nd, and it was organized by Mike Michalski, who's a fellow comic book aficionado, and it was the first comic book convention in about 22 years in Windsor, and we were sort of guests of the convention, and we basically expected maybe 200 or 300 people to come out, and it ended up being 1,400 people. So it was a big surprise to see that many people who are interested in comic books and cosplay and stuff like that. So it was a big success.
Other than the amount of people, did you notice a difference in demographics of people who came in?
Yeah, I would say I was pleased to see a lot of kids and a lot of and teenagers and 20-somethings, because I think the cliche with TV shows like Big Bang Theory is that most comic book readers are sort of 30-plus males, who are sort of socially awkward and live in their parents' basements. And it was nice to see a more diverse demographic of people come out to the convention. So
you also have projects outside the TV show. What are the projects that you're working on right now?
Right now, myself and some of the other guys from the crew have actually all agreed that we're going to be working on our own feature films for the next year or so. All 4 of us are going to split off and do our own movies. So I've done a couple of films before. One of them was a short film called Gary Blaze, The Devil Wears Product, which starred Chris Menard from Cortisone Theater. And that film was accepted into a film festival called Action on Film and nominated for 3 awards. And it lost all of them, but I'm still, happy that it was nominated, and so hopefully this one, I'll probably submit it to that festival and some other ones as well, but this one will be a feature, it won't be a short, so.
Sure, and tell us about Laser Police.
Laser Police is my first attempt to create my own comic book characters. It's sort of inspired by, sort of retro 1960s stuff like this, and basically, I had a short story that was published in The Incredible Conduit #2 by Legacy Publishing, or Legacy Comics Publishing, sorry. And then hopefully, I'll eventually publish something on my own, like a full-length story, so.
Sure, so you showed us a comic book there. What did you bring in for us today?
These are some samples of some of my favorites. This is an old classic 60s Superman comic from 1967. And now when this was published, it was seen as sort of like a kid's, like a kid's hobby or whatever, a kid's thing to read. But in my opinion, because of the imagination and the skill of the art, I think it really has stood the test of time as something that's really worth reading. This is an example of a modern comic. It's actually Wonder Woman, but it's by a writer named Brian Azzarello, who has completely rebooted the character, and in my opinion, this is one of the best monthly comics that you can pick up right now. And so I recommend this if you can find it at your local comic shop. And then this one here is one of my favorite graphic novels. A graphic novel is a comic book basically in just a slightly different format, but it's still a comic book. This is by Jeff Lemire, who's from Maidstone, and it's part of a series called Essex County, and this is the second part of it, and it's, in my opinion, it's a great story, and anyone from this area, I think, would enjoy this story It's about hockey, it's about people living out on farms, and it's about our community, our history, and so this is highly recommended.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in today, Michael.
No problem.
I'm Maureen Mariampla, and today we spend 5 minutes with Michael Poirier.
Whether you drink 1, 2, or 5 cups a day, can coffee really be that healthy for you? In this edition of Health Minute, Stephen Anderson lets us know the facts behind our caffeine kicks.
Coffee. It's the cornerstone of many people's morning. In fact, more people would turn to a cup of joe before they would a bowl of cereal. But fear not, coffee can still be considered healthy. Studies have indicated that there are many beneficial aspects to drinking a cup of coffee a day. It has been suggested that coffee can enhance athletic performance, mental alertness, and protect against serious diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and even liver and colon cancers. There have been mixed feelings towards coffee as far as health implications. Although beneficial, it has also been linked to osteoporosis as well as elevating blood pressure. But do the good outweigh the bad? A study done at the Harvard School of Public Health found that regular coffee drinkers had a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes and shows signs of decreasing depression in women. International studies show a relationship between caffeine and lower rates of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. It's a healthy choice that makes mornings just a little more bearable. I'm Stephen Anderson, and this has been Health Minute.
Now let's go back to the corner of University in Victoria to see our weather specialist, Ashley Davidson, has in store for us this week.
Thanks, Haley. Today, the Weather Network released their spring outlook for 2013. Windsor should be expecting slightly warmer than average temperatures this spring. However, we should also be expecting a much wetter weather than we are used to. Now, I know we're not expecting any rain this week, so let's take a look at what we can expect. Wednesday will be partly cloudy with a high of 4 and a low of -3. Thursday will be partly cloudy with a high of 3 and a low of -2. Friday will also be partly cloudy with a high of 3 and a low of -4. So if you want to learn more about the MediaPlex and yours truly, come check out our open house Saturday, March 23rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also, we have our second annual live game show, the MediaPlex Headline Challenge, on April 9th at 6 p.m. It's a game show where the first years take on the second years in the battle for the Headline Challenge Cup. That's it for me on the corner of Victoria University. Back to you in the studio, Haley.
Thanks, Ashley. The penny is on its way out of our change, and the 5-cent piece is looking dangerously close to following along behind. Rob Benyon tells us more.
Big changes are coming. The Government of Canada announced the penny phase-out as part of Economic Action Plan 2012, and February 4th marks the end of penny production and distribution in Canada. As a result, banks will no longer be able to order the 1-cent piece, and stores won't provide it in your change. The penny costs 1.6 cents to manufacture, and the government says halting its production will save taxpayers nearly $11 million per year. However, a local bank employee told me her bank expects to lose approximately $300,000 in 2013 from the phase-out. This is because the government has implemented what they are calling a fair and transparent rounding policy, where every cash transaction will be rounded up or down to the nearest nickel. The phase-out will not affect electronic transactions, and businesses can, at their own discretion, continue accepting pennies for as long as they choose. For further information, visit the Government of Canada website or call 1-800-O-Canada. I'm Rob Benyon reporting from MediaPlex News Now.
In this edition of Sports Talk, Ashley Davidson sat down with Mitchell Bradner to discuss the NHL and the biggest news in the NFL.
Welcome to another edition of MediaPlex Sports Talk. I'm Ashley Davidson, and with me today is Mitchell Bradner. The Chicago Blackhawks have officially the best start in NHL history and have yet to lose a game in regulation. Mitchie, what do you attribute their success to?
Well, just the pure depth of that team, I think. You got the top line players like Kane and Taves and Hossa contributing, but then you got the secondary players like Stahlberg, Boland, and one of the weaknesses coming into this season was expected to be goaltending, but it's been one of their strong suits.
Earlier this season, Benny and Wolfie discussed Ovechkin's struggles. The Washington Capitals are still struggling. What do you think is wrong?
Well, I think they're just not a very good team. I mean, outside of Ovechkin, Backstrom, and maybe Ribeiro, they don't really have any other talent up front, and I think that's costing them wins. I mean, their defense is okay with Alzner and Carlson and Green, but up front they just lack depth.
Steven Stamkos has picked up where he left off last season. Mitchie, what do you make of this scoring fiend?
Oh, that's impressive. He's on pace for 37 goals this season, which would be 63 over a full 82-game season. That's pretty impressive. I mean, the guy, he's got probably the best one-timer in the league, and he finds ways to put the puck in the net.
We're just about done here, but before we go, I have to bring up the hottest news in the NFL right now. Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco has been re-signed with the Baltimore Ravens. This $120.6 million deal makes him the highest paid player in the NFL. That's it for us. Thank you for watching another edition of MediaPlex Sports Talk. I'm Ashley Davidson.
And I'm Mitchell Brandner.
The OPP and Hotel Dieu Grace are joining together to form a community outreach and support team program. Jessica Brisebois reports.
The stigma surrounding mental health issues is lifting. According to Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP and Hotel Dieu Grace Hospital launched a new community outreach and support team program on February 6th. The COAST program partners an Essex County OPP officer with a mental health crisis worker from Hotel Dieu Grace Hospital to help people with mental health issues and their families deal with a crisis situation. West Region Chief Superintendent John Kane said treating individuals instead of imprisonment is both cost-effective and smart policing.
When I started policing, the practice was in Toronto, as well as a lot of places. You pick the individual up, you were worried about a Form 10, and the result was you took them to the hospital, dropped them off at the door, and hoped you made it back to your cruiser before they made it out the door. And that was the common practice.
Mental health crisis worker at Hotel Dieu, Sherry Metivier, said she and her partner, OPP Constable Byron Hornick, both involved in launching the program, connect a mentally ill individual to the appropriate person to assure some kind of treatment.
People with mental illness oftentimes, if they're depressed or whatever, you can lay out the options, but unless you physically do the move for them, it may never get done.
Depending on the situation, the client receives an assessment and treatment, which may include a psychiatric consultation. She said she uses direct conversation, her ability to listen, and her knowledge of community services available to the client. The COAST team does not respond to 911 emergency calls. The team responds to referrals or through the COAST crisis line. I'm Jessica Brisebois reporting for MediaPlex News Now.
On this edition of Health Minute, Marissa DeBortoli talks advancements in HIV treatment.
A baby born with HIV appears to have been cured. Scientists announced Sunday that the child, who has been off medication for about a year, shows no signs of infection. The child was given faster and stronger treatment than usual, starting a 3-drug infusion within 30 hours of birth. This eliminated the HIV in the baby's blood before it could form hideouts in the body. These reservoirs of dormant cells usually rapidly reinfect anyone who stops medication. The team of doctors recently performed tests and found that only a single copy of the virus's genetic material, but not enough for the virus to reproduce. HIV is a virus that attacks the immune system and damages the body's ability to fight infections. This virus is passed on from one person to another through blood-to-blood and sexual contact. In addition, infected women can pass HIV on to their babies during pregnancy as well as through breastfeeding. It's unlikely that this cure will be effective in developing nations, but doctors agree that this is a step in the right direction. I'm Marissa DeBortoli, and this has been your Health Minute.
Our own Adam L. Bubba sat down with veteran photographer Spike Bell in this edition of 5 Minutes With.
I'm Adam L. Bubba, and today I'm spending 5 minutes with veteran photographer Spike Bell. Spike, you've recently released a book called Memoirs of a Border City. How does this book differ from the rest of your releases?
I think I've had 3 books out, and this has got to be the best. It was 4 years in the making, and we just incorporated a lot more into the book. And it's gone over very, very well.
What are some of what are your other releases besides this book?
Well, I did one just called Windsor, and one that was just Windsor Now or something like that. I forgot the title, but there's 3 books. They're all on Windsor, the area, and I went over. Like I say, it's a pictorial book, and we just hardcover. 2 were hardcover, 1 was soft.
You won the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Award this year. Describe that experience.
It's quite an honor. It really is. The Honorable Joe Comartin presented it at the Windsor Yacht Club, and along with, there was 20 of us, and it's quite an honor. And I've got the pin here on my lapel. I'm quite proud to wear it. I'm part of the, I'm with the regiment, Essex Kent Scottish Regiment. It's quite an honor, that's all I can say. It just makes you're very proud to wear it.
Was the experience any similar to the Golden Jubilee Award you won 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's quite, you know, you don't let it go to your head, but you just, it's nice to be recognized, and it's just, again, another honor.
How did it feel when you received the Governor General 125th Anniversary Award back in '92?
Well, what I can remember of it, it was quite an honor also. It just came out of the blue, and bingo, I was picked. So it was another outstanding award that I was certainly very proud to receive.
How did you win the award? Did you?
On that one, I have no idea. It was just somebody recommended me, and next thing I had a medal on me.
So somebody submitted your photo, or how did that go?
Maybe it was my character. Maybe that's what did it. I have no idea.
What are some of the photos you have in the National Archives in Ottawa?
There's 6 or 7 there that were submitted some years ago. There were portraits and submitted to the archives, and as far as I know, they're still there, unless they floated away. I don't know. I haven't seen them, so.
Could you maybe go into detail of what some of the photos were? Just maybe a couple of them.
I don't remember. All I remember they were portraits and scenes of different areas.
Have you worked with any news companies in the last 10, 20 years?
I've worked with the Detroit Free Press. I've worked with the Associated Press. I've worked with just about, you name it, and I've worked with them.
What do you think about the state of photojournalism in Windsor?
I have my comments, or my feelings on it. I'd like to see a lot more investigating reporting. That's my feeling on it. What I read locally and what I see on a national level, there's quite a difference, and it's certainly a changing field. What's going on? I mean, it's certainly questionable if print is going to be still around. What I'm hearing from all over the U.S., Canada, and the U.K.
Do you still shoot with film?
I do a little bit. I finally smartened up and got in with digital. I got a Nikon D90, and I kind of enjoy it. It's a different experience. I like film. I know a gentleman in Florida is still using film, and I don't think film's going away totally. I still have all my film cameras, Hasselblad. I got a Fuji 617 I just had out 2 weeks ago, so with film. So it's a beautiful way of presenting an image. Film is beautiful. Digital's getting better all the time, and it's amazing what's going on in the industry. Really, it really is.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for your time, Spike.
Well, thank you.
I'm Adam Obaba, and we just spent 5 minutes with veteran photographer Spike Bell.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Haley Trelout, and you've been watching MediaPlex News Now.
MediaPlex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.